everybody, it's me, Mara Winterhyde, from Mara Winterhyde's Online Adventures here on YouTube. First of all, I want to welcome everybody who's new to my channel. Thank you to all my new followers. Almost at the 250 mark. One more follower needed and I'll be at 250 followers. All because I started doing stuff like this for you guys who are builders in 3DXCHAT. Alright, so this video is going to be the tutorial video part 2 for beginners. So this is part 2. If you want to get to part 1, which went over the basics of settings, undo, redo, copy, and delete, look in the upper right hand corner of your screen here and click on this guy right up here and you will get to part 1. That is the bare bones introduction to building for 3DXCHAT, and I covered settings, redo, undo, copy, and delete. So let's get into part 2. First of all, again, I'm in live mode, so I can walk around and all that fun stuff. See, I can walk or I can run. But we don't want to do that. We want to go into build mode. So in the bottom left hand corner of your screen here, you're going to click on this green box that says select location. And then here you're going to click on customize, because you're going to customize your build or customize your room, aka go into build mode. So here we are in build mode. Ta-da! All right, so as you guys remember, I just mentioned that in part number 1, we covered the settings. Remember what I said in part 1? Whatever you change in here, when you go back into build mode from going like from live mode to build mode, it's going to be the same as to what you set it to. If you want to set it back to defaults, you would have to click on the reset defaults. Don't worry about that though if you don't want to change anything. For example, I changed my grid Y position to 0.5 meters so that we can see the grid on the floor here when I'm in tutorial mode, because I'd like to see where I'm positioning everything. So I left it. Gizmo scale, I left it 3 because it's bigger that way and I can see it better. All right, so today we're going to go over a couple of things. Technically 4 things, because 2 of them work and coincide, work together with or coincide with the 2 I'm going to show you today. So the 2 I'm going to show you in this video are the move and the turn gizmo. Now, the other 2 I'm going to show you, which work together with or coincide with those 2, are the snap step and the snap angle, which are these 2 magnets at the top right hand corner, top right hand side of the list of icons across the screen here. All right, so the first guy we're going to deal with is the move gizmo. It's pretty basic. It's pretty self-explanatory. You click on the object that you want to move, and there you have it. There's your move gizmo. If you're wondering again what a gizmo is, you can find that out in part 1. But this is the gizmo. The red, green, and blue arrows, okay? That's the move gizmo. Yes, that is green, not yellow. When you hover your mouse over it, it goes yellow. Or when you get into more advanced building stuff, X, Y, and Z. X is red, Y is green, Z is blue. How do I know this? Right here. Just ignore these numbers. Don't worry about it. It's a lot of math. But X is red, Y is green, Z is blue. That's how I know. All right, so now you want to move it. Where do you want to move it to? You want to move it a little bit to the left. So hold down the left mouse button on top of the blue arrow, and you can just move it left and right. Drag it to wherever you want. Now, say you can only move it left and right when you're holding down the left mouse button on the blue arrow or the Z axis, okay? You want to move it back a bit. So hold your mouse over top of the red arrow or the X axis. Yes, there's math involved in this. Don't worry, I won't be going over a lot of math stuff because I hate math and I really suck at it, so it's all good. So the red arrow, hold your mouse over top of it. Hold down the left mouse button. So click and hold down the left mouse button and you'll be able to move it back and forth. From back to front, okay? Now, same with the Y axis or the green arrow. Hold your mouse over top of it, left click and hold it down, and you can move it up and down. That's what you can do. Let's go over that again. Move left and right, hold down your mouse button on the blue arrow, move it left and right, move it front and back, or front to back, or back and forth. Hold down the left mouse button on the red arrow or the X-axis to move it up and down. Hold your mouse button over top of the green arrow, Y-axis, move it up and down. That's the basics of moving with the Move Gizmo. Now, these squares that you see are a little more advanced, but they're so handy. Really handy. So let's bring this right down to the ground here. Okay. Now you can kind of get a better look at the squares inside. Notice the green one is facing up and like upwards, like up and down, like the Y-axis or the green arrow. And the red square is facing front and back, like the red arrow or the X-axis arrow. And the blue square is facing left and right, like the blue arrow, which is the Z-axis. So we're going to deal with the first one that I'd mentioned, which was the green one. This is super handy. You just click and hold it down and you can move it any which way you want, but it always connects and is level with, I'll say, the floor, the ground. So it's level with the ground all the time. You cannot move it up and down. You can't move it front, like you can't. You can move it back and forth, left and right, but you can't move it up and down, okay? Now, that's handy placing rocks, flowers. You instead of having to, oh my gosh, I gotta click here and now click here, here, and now click here. Oh, I gotta move it this way. Just hold down on the yellow square and you can place it, there, or you can place it over here, or you can place it over here. It's super simple. I've had to use that many a time in order to move like a bed of flowers I'm putting down or a rock that I'm putting down. Now, the next one is really handy if you're hanging stuff on the walls, okay? The next two are the red one and the blue one, okay? So say you've got a picture, say there's an imaginary wall behind this block, and say this block is a picture, and you want to hang this on the wall. Well, you can do that. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. So you want to do that? I selected the whole thing, apparently. So now you want to move it a little bit higher, but you want to move to the left. You hold your mouse over top of the red square, right? Hold the left mouse button down on it, and now you can move it up. See what it's doing? It's moving and staying flush with the imaginary wall that it's up against, or the X-axis here. So it's not moving that position. Great for placing stuff on a wall. So you've got a sconce that you want to, that's holding, I don't know, a candle. You want to move it on the wall. There you go. There's that one. So then you're like, okay, I guess, what's the blue one do? The blue square will move it along this wall here, or this side here. See? I can move it front and back, but I cannot move it left and right. But it stays flush against this side here, right? So this side here. That is the Move Gizmo, okay? Let's bring this down a bit. And we're going to bring this down to the ground. All right. So the next one we're going to cover is this guy here. This is the turning gizmo. I call it the turn gizmo. So when you want to turn a group of items or a block, select the item. Ta-da! Don't panic. Don't panic. Okay, I'm going to mention something here that's really important. I personally do not touch the white circles. When I was building Club 21, didn't know this whole circle thing. I didn't know what it did. I figured it out the hard way. That's for sure. So I just avoid them at all costs because it can really warp the direction it's going in. I don't really use it too much. I haven't really had a need to personally. If you want to experiment with it, by all means, have at it. But I personally, for the tutorial, am not going to go through that. So, excuse me, as you can see, once again, we've got, if you look closely, a yellow circle going around this way, a blue one going this way. Sorry, not a yellow one, a green one. I think the true color is actually chartreuse. And then a blue one, and then a red one. Okay? So you're like, what the heck? Okay. So the green circle that goes around this little guy here, let me sit on top of it here. You got to be really careful with this because it's really finicky. So the green one here will turn it on that axis. Okay? All right. Left and right. Okay? The blue one turns it front and back. Front and back. Front and back. Okay? The red one will turn it from left to right, side to side. Do 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 do. That's what that's gonna do. Okay? Now, something I need to bring up here. I wasn't gonna go over this, but I'm realizing I kind of need to. This here. Pivot. You're gonna want to change that majority of the time and put it on center. And here's why. What's the position of the circle? See how it dropped? That's because it's pivoting it on the main axis, which is the bottom, right? So pivots that way, right? Same here, right? And then not really much difference on that one. Now, when I change it to center, watch what happens to the gizmo. It moves to the actual center of the item, not down here. So turning this, not really any difference, right? Right. But watch what happens when I do it this way. See what's happening now? It's spinning on its center axis. See? And then the red guy, remember, pay attention. You got to click on the actual red circle, not the white one. And it spins it on its center axis. Remember, I'm saying axis, not access. Sorry. Maybe it's my Canadian accent. I don't know. So the red, blue, and green. I apologize if I call it yellow. It looks yellow to me, but it's actually chartreuse, which is a shade of green. So that's the move gizmo. Okay. Now, remember how I told you guys that I was going to go over the snap step and the snap angle with you guys? That's what I'm going to do now. So we're going to move back to the move gizmo here. Okay. Now, I'm going to position this perfectly right here. Okay. There you go. All right. So there's that. All right. So now we're going to go up here and I'm going to click on the snap step. Okay. That's this little guy here who has the magnet with the arrow pointing up and the arrow pointing down. Okay. When you reselect your block, you're going to notice that there's a gray square highlighting around the snap step. Okay. Now this, remember in the settings how I said you can change it to whatever you want it to be. It's going to snap to a meter from here. And remember how I said that the grid spacing is 1 meter? So when I move this to the right or left, it's going to move to the center of be perfectly centered with the next block here or here. So this is what's really handy about this. Say you want to move it over a meter, okay? You hold your mouse over top of the blue arrow or the Z-axis and move it. Boom. Do you see what happened there? It snapped to a meter, okay? I'm going to show you again, but I'm going to go to the right. So hold your mouse over top of the blue arrow or the Z-axis. Snap it over. and you're going to move over to the left, but it's going to snap to 1 meter. Now, watch what happens when I change this to, say, 3 meters. I'm going to pan out a bit because I need to for this, okay? Hold my mouse over top of the blue arrow or the Z-axis. Hold down the left mouse button. It snaps 3 blocks over because remember, my grid spacing is 1 meter. Okay? So I'm going to move that back to the beginning spot. I'm going to hold my mouse over top of the blue arrow or the Z-axis. I'm going to hold down the left mouse button, snap it back to where it was. Pretty handy, eh? Now say you want to move it 0.5 meter. It's fine. Just change this number here in the snap step in the settings to 0.5 meters. Watch what happens. It just jumped over 0.5 meter. Ta-da! That's it. Say you want to move it back 0.5 meter. Do you see what happened here? Now it's perfectly centered between these 4 blocks here on the grid line, 4 grid lines. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks, 4 squares. Okay? Say you're like, oh, I forgot, I didn't want to do that. Just hit the undo button. Say you want to move it up 0.5 meter. Just click and move it up 0.5 meter. See what I mean? It's super simple. Okay? We're going to change that back to 1 meter because that's my default setting that I usually keep it on. So that is the snap step. Okay? That's the snap step. So when you click on that again, it turns it off. So if you look at these 2 icons and you have a gray square around either one of them, that means it's on. Once that gray square is gone, that means it's off. Okay? Took me a hot minute to figure that one out. Let me tell you. All right, so now we're going to work with the snap angle. So once again, you're going to go up here to the top icons here, and you're going to click on the turn one. That's the icon. It's like a part of a circle with an arrow pointing at. That's letting you know it's turning. So we're going to select the block that we want to turn again, and go up here to the right-hand side of the screen, and you're going to click on the snap angle, okay? Select your block, and there you go. So now, pay attention to this, okay? Now, remember how I said the snap angle in the settings is automatically set to 15 degrees. You can change it, but I don't normally, I personally don't. I've only done it a few times. Like, I needed to turn something 45 degrees. I literally went into the settings and I changed the number to 45 degrees so that I didn't have to count 3 times. 1, 2, 3, done. Well, when you change it to 45 degrees and you need to turn it once for 45 degrees, that's it. You enter the settings, change it to 45, turn it once, boom, done. I'm going to show you. So say I need to turn this 45 degrees, okay? You're going to hold your mouse over top of the, so I'm turning it this way, okay? Not turning it front and back or this way. We're going to turn it this way. So I'm going to hold my mouse over top of the green line. Watch how it goes yellow. You got to pay attention to that. From green to yellow, you know you've selected it properly, or at least your mouse is over top of the right one when it turns yellow. Same with the blue line, yellow. Red line, yellow. So make sure your green line is now yellow. Hold down the left mouse button. See that? It snaps to 15 degrees exactly. Okay. So to get to 45 degrees, you got to turn it 3 times, right? So make sure your green line goes to yellow. Hold down the left mouse button, and you'll know you're holding down the left mouse button because you can see the white line showing up. Can you see that? So when I press and hold down my left mouse button, you'll see the white line show up. Okay, so now you're going to move it once, twice, 3 times. Once, twice, 3 times a lady. Sorry, it's a Eddie Murphy gig from back when I was a kid. So there you go. You've now turned your square 45 degrees. A perfect on the nose 45 degrees. No eyeballing it. None of that crap. Let me tell you. I can't count how much shit I had to eyeball in Club 21 because I didn't know about half this stuff. So there you go. Now you're like, well, wait a second, that's not right. I need to turn it, I don't know, 60 degrees. Just turn it one more time. Hold your mouse over top of the line, make sure it goes yellow, from green to yellow. Hold down the left mouse button. See, the white line shows up in the middle again. See? Turn it one more time. You just turned it 60 degrees. Bada boom, bada bing. See how simple that is? I'm going to go over that again. You want to turn it, okay, say you want to turn it 90 degrees, okay? To get to 45, you got to turn it 3 times, right? To get to 90 degrees, you just got to turn it 6 times. So we're going to turn it the opposite direction. Hold your mouse over top of the green line, make sure it turns yellow. Hold down the left mouse button, you'll see the white line show up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let go of your mouse button. Done. You've just turned it exactly 90 degrees on the nose. That is the turn gizmo. That's it. That's all she wrote. That's the turn gizmo. Now, same thing happens for the Z-axis or the X-axis, the blue axis or the red axis, okay? Same thing. Okay, I'm gonna go this way a little bit. Say you want to turn it back, like towards the back, 45 degrees. And the reason I'm telling you guys this with a square is this works particularly well for lighting. Because when you add lights to a room, you got to turn them to get the right lighting angle, right? Right. So make sure when you're turning front and back that you're holding your mouse over top of the blue line, and that will change it to yellow. See, as soon as you hold down the left mouse button, you'll see that white line appear. That tells you you've done it right. 1, 2, 3. You just turned it facing the back, a perfect 45-degree angle. Okay, Control Z. We're going to undo that. That's in part 1. Hold your mouse button over the blue line. Make sure it turns yellow. Hold down your left mouse button. You'll see the white line show up. 1, 2, 3. Oh, we want to go to 90 degrees. 4, 5, 6. Boom. Done. Just like that. It doesn't look like you're doing anything, like it doesn't look like you've really moved it because it's just a plain square. But this is really important for lighting. Heck, it's important for everything, to be quite frank, but particularly with the lighting, because some of the lights in here are 45 degrees, 90 degrees, 180 degrees. So you'll understand it more when I go over lighting later on. So now, same thing for left and right. So you want to turn it left and right. So make sure you hold your mouse over top of the red line and it goes yellow. Hold down the left mouse button and you'll see that white line show up again, see? And you're going to turn it once, twice, 3 times to the left. You've now just turned it a perfect 45 degrees. Now, to tune it. So you want to go back, just Control Z or click on Undo. Now, if you want to turn it to the right 45 degrees, hold your mouse over top of the red line, make sure it's highlighted yellow, hold down the left mouse button, you'll see that the white line's in the center there, and move 1, 2, 3 times to the right, and you've now turned it to the right, a perfect 45-degree angle. Ta-da! That's all there is to the turn angle. We're gonna go back into live mode. All right, guys, this concludes the tutorial part 2 for beginners tutorials and building for 3DXCHAT. My name is Mara Winterhyde. Thank you again for coming out and checking out this video. If you guys have any comments or questions at all, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comments section below. I will also leave chapter selections in the description below to let you guys know and show you where to click to get to specific information. If you guys see me in game, don't hesitate to reach out and say hello. If you have any questions or if you'd like to contact me and discuss in more detail building, feel free to contact me in game, and I will be more than glad to exchange discords with you. But outside of that, this concludes the tutorial for today. Goodbye, everybody. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in game.